What's up, y'all? I'm in my commute currently. Figured I would share some commute wisdom with you. So, I had this kind of realization and reframing fairly recently about my creative practice as it relates to the last video that I made talking about this, which was creativity as a key to transformation. It's not a prerequisite to listen to that, but it is amazing how sometimes sorry, I just drank a bunch of tea and it's having me clear my throat for some reason. It's just amazing to me sometimes how something will just become so obvious out of nowhere. So let me give a little bit of a preface of my relationship to creativity for as long as I can remember, or at least into my teenage years. So I went to a regular old public school until I was 14. And after 8th grade, I was like, I really don't want to be around these people anymore. I don't want to be in a public school. It feels stifling to my creativity. And me and my mom and my dad made the decision that I could do online homeschooling, which I ended up doing for 2 years. And the spring after I started, I released UFO Demo because all of a sudden I found myself with so much time to be creative. And also I was completely negligent when it came to my schoolwork and would just not do it for months at a time and then just complete 9 weeks worth of homework and tests and stuff within 3 days. Would not recommend. I do not recommend doing that. But I will say that online homeschool provided me with more time to engage with music in a way where I was damn, I love this so much. It was the first time I had really been given the time and the space to truly dedicate myself to it. And before that, I would write music and I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. And even since I was 8 years old, I was I want to be a rock star one day. And so I knew that I would dedicate myself to music. But having the time to do that was really transformative. And so, I do the online homeschooling for 2 years, and then I had my last year of high school in my junior year. And right before that, I went on my first tour, and I was yo, that was sick. Then I'll kind of fast forward a bit, because these things happen frequently enough that I notice a pattern, but infrequently enough that it takes me a few years to figure shit out. So I was yeah, music kicks ass. So then I went to college and kept making music while I was in college, but found it increasingly difficult to actually make time for music because of how much college schoolwork took up my time in a way where I was wait, I didn't even like school. And this took me being in college for over 2 years. I think almost 3 years. It was it was 2.5 years. It took me 2.5 years in college to realize wait, I never even liked school. Why am I spending, first of all, thousands of dollars on school when I could just be working and playing music? With that realization, I also had to break up with Scotty, my partner at the time. When that happened, all of this stuff dawned on me. I was not only was I feeling stagnant and low-key unliked in my relationship, but also I don't even want to be in school. I want to practice music. I want to play music. That's what I know I want to do. But I kept viewing it as just a hobby that I was pursuing vigorously. I dropped out of school in, I want to say January of 2018. It was the second I don't remember how things were done in college, but it was like the second semester or whatever, maybe. And I dropped out, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start studying music independently. And it was in that time, from a little bit before I dropped out, maybe in like November, I started writing the Honey Club albums. Then I put out the first Honey Club album on Valentine's Day 2018. And I was like, shit, this is awesome. I love music. This is so much fun. I was like, oh, no big deal. Let me just drop a 13-song album that I wrote in like 3 months. No big deal. I'll do it again. I'll write another one again in like 5 months, and I'll drop it on my birthday in 2018. Also, while coming up with new acoustic music, and I was working 2 different jobs, and like I lived in an apartment with my mom, and we like shared rent, and I wrote so much music during that time. And I would just come home from work, or like I was working in Kent, living in Youngstown, and I would come home after driving and working, and I would just start writing music. And I had a lot of space and a lot of alone time to dedicate to that. Still, all the while, I'm sitting here like, this is my hobby. But when I first dropped out, I was like, music is like my passion. And when I framed it like that, when I was like, music is my passion, it gave me even more space to start pursuing it. Like, to continue to pursue it. By framing it as, music is my passion. So, you know, but my passion still could just be a hobby, right? It's like I hadn't quite figured out how to frame it yet. So basically from that point until now, for 5 years, like Steve, my current partner, my husband, was living in Australia for almost all of 2018. So we were in a long distance relationship. Then we moved to Olympia. And in that time, I got an acoustic guitar. I don't remember exactly when, but it definitely opened up a whole new situation for me. We moved to Olympia together in November of 2018. Then I met all these new people. I'm in like a completely new place. I literally didn't know anyone other than Steve. And we were living out of our car for a little bit. Then we got a house. I wrote Bringer of Change. All the while, I'm like, kind of feeling like I'm in a rut creatively, but I'm still making music and playing music. And like then we moved into a different house, and I had a lot of like ability to move around freely through the city because we were not far at all from downtown Olympia. And I found that the more I would be walking, the more ideas would come to me. And it was like these kind of repetitive motions would allow for songs to come through me. And like showering also does this for me. Taking a shower, like water hitting my head, also allows these things to come through me. Because sometimes I'm channeling like I think it is channeling, like I am opening up my voice as a conduit for things in my inner world that need to come out and be like, yo, I'm in here. I'm just chilling in here, but I have something to say. So I was finding new ways to channel my creativity, and you know, I just kept doing that. And then we eventually, when COVID hit, I had in that time written a whole album in Olympia, and that was the first Rain in the Six Star System album. And a lot of my time out there was spent being kind of unsure of myself because everything was so new and everything was so crazy that I was like, damn, I can be whatever I want. Like, it was intimidating almost to be completely unknown. And I was like, well, shit, I can do literally anything I want. So a lot of it was spent actually just being unsure, which is fine. I needed that. I think I needed that time. Then we moved to Pittsburgh, which is where I live right now, when COVID hit. We were hella isolating when we moved here. Still pretty isolating because we're just both, Steve and I are both just like less social people. I mean, not to say we're antisocial, it's just like I don't have to see people like 5 times a week to feel okay. Like, I kind of like being home a lot of the time. I'm like hermit mode. But anyway, I don't have to justify this, but like, I kept writing music, okay? Then I start this school bus driving job, and I was able to write a whole album in a period of time while doing this school bus driving job, because it was very easy hours. And that's when I wrote The Seasons of Change. And then this past school year, like from the fall of 2022 to the spring of 2023, and now the fall of 2023, like, this school year has been a little brutal because the hours are kind of rough, and I'm working like 37 hours a week, which is not at all what I signed up for. It's like I'm financially secure in a way I've never been, but I'm also like feeling like my ability to prioritize my needs, and this is where it hit me. I was struggling, and this is what the last video I made, creativity as a key to transformation, is about. This thing that I could not put my finger on until literally like 3 weeks ago. So my creative practice, I have been viewing it as, oh, well, I gotta be showing up for myself, I gotta take accountability. Like, if I can't do a thing for myself, then like blah blah blah, do I even really want it, or like whatever I was trying to say before. I was like, if I just push myself, if I just pursue this, and if I'm just really serious about it. But like, bro, you are missing it. What I wasn't seeing is that my creative practice is not like a hobby. It's not like, and not that playing in a band with other people is a hobby, because it's not. I genuinely believe at this point, like, my creative practice, whatever it may be, the thing that I do so that I can create freely and bring my inner voice into the world in a way that can be shared and heard by myself and by others. My creative practice is a need. It's a need as important to me as space, as water and food, shelter, breathing. Like, it is as important. It is as much of a priority to me as those things. And just even like literally the day that I framed things like this, I wrote the song Everybody Says. Because as I started to think about my practice in this way, more and more shit just started clicking into place. Like, in weird ways. It's because that song Everybody Says is about being misunderstood by others. And for years, not even for years, maybe for like the last year, I've been kind of grappling with, do I value feeling understood? Because I'm so often misunderstood, and I'm like, is this something I value, or am I okay being misunderstood? But what I was, once again, failing to see was I don't value being understood by others, because that would mean that I care more about how others perceive me than the message that I'm sending. And what I actually value is being understood by myself. And that understanding comes from a mental wellness where I am connected to myself. When I am listening to myself in my body, in my mind, and in my heart. When I'm creating, when I'm participating in like meeting my needs, that includes creativity. So it's no longer a thing where I have to be accountable or I have to show up. It's that this is something I literally need. The same way, like, oh, I'm thirsty, I need to drink some water. Okay, I need to create, and I'm gonna do that what my creativity requires is a space in which I can do it, and the tools, which is my instruments, my voice, my sewing machine, like anything I can get my hands on that will be the thing that allows me to express what needs to be expressed. And like, I guess I felt guilty taking time. Like, I love my partner and I love spending time with him, but I have been neglecting my own partnership with myself and my creativity, which is its own being, that needs the space alone to tune in to whatever part of my inner world needs to be expressed. And so this reframing of my creativity as a need has just helped me push through any kind of guilt I've been feeling about, oh, I don't do this enough, oh, I don't do that. It's like, no, when I feel that urge, I have to run for it. I have to do it because it's a need. It's the same thing as I gotta go take a piss. I gotta go do this. And it's been like so crazy. And I think that also the focus of my last video, creativity as a key to transformation, that giving that attention, looking at it and being like, what do you need? Like, what is it? What can I do for you, for my creative being? I think that allowed me to find this next frame, because all I've been doing this whole time, ever since I was 8 years old, was like being like, I want to be a rock star. Like, all of these things is me framing my creative practice in a way that allows me to pursue it with the least amount of shame and guilt and bad feelings. In this one, framing it as a need is like it's the best feeling I've had in this moment about my practice, and the best way to frame it that allows me to feel so validated when I pursue it. And also knowing that, as I said in the other video, I know that when I pursue creativity, my life transforms in crazy ways. Like, I think that anything can be creative. I have this song called Without You that I haven't released yet. It's going to be on a collab album with Billy Mack Collector. But it's like, one of the lines is, anything can be creative if you let it flow within you and then without you. And like, I almost cried just saying that. But it's like, all of these things, like reframing, reconsidering, all of these things are creative. And like, I think you could do this with any practice, but I ultimately believe that like literally any practice you're doing is creative. And I think that in our universe, and maybe this is going a little bit too far. Pause the video if you got problems with it, but I think in this universe, us being reflections of the creator that is the universe. The universe creates, right? Earth created in the sense that moves were made in space to create a planet. Nature worked in such a way that things were created. It is in our nature to be creative. It is in our ancestors' nature. Our ancestors, as far back as primordial ooze, to be creative. And I think that it is actually a universal need. Like, this is not just me. I think this is every single living and non-living thing in the universe has a need to be creative. Even fucking rocks are creative. Every way we interact with our environment is creative. And I think viewing it as a need and not just a thing we do, I mean, it can just be a thing we do. That's also fine. Do that. If that works for you, then that's great. It's just a thing we do. Because also, I can look at my own creative practice as just a thing that I do. Because I'm gonna do it no matter what. And I view it as a need because the fact that I do it no matter what means that I need it to survive. That without this, I don't know. I think if I ever didn't make music, my life would look a lot different if I even had a life. Like, sincerely. Creativity has been a need for me for as long as I can remember, in every way, whether it was being creative with my outfits or whatever. So I guess the reason that this is such an impactful frame for creativity is that it reaches back through my entire life and validates all the parts of me that were like, I need to fucking do this. I need to create. I need to express myself. And I need to be seen. Not so that I can care how others perceive me, but so that my expression is seen in the universe, like, and seen and possibly understood by another person. Not that the understanding is the important thing, but if my expression helps another person understand themselves better, because that's really what I mean. No one's going to know what my experience is like. But if you can hear my experience and understand yourself more, like, oh, I'm literally crying, like, that is so beautiful to me. I'm crying now. That is like why I make music, because it helps me understand myself more, and then you understand yourself better too. And it feels insane. It feels so fucking crazy. And you don't have to do it like this, but if you can find any kind of tool to utilize in which you could express yourself and get to a better understanding with yourself, I think it's the most beautiful thing that you could dedicate yourself to. And my life has forever changed because of it. So this is another long ass video. Maybe you'll hear something in it that will ring true with you. Maybe it will inspire you to reframe your own practices as a need, as important as breathing. And just like breathing, you're going to do it anyway. It's just something you're going to do. So you might as well love it and treat it as its own being, because it is. So that's all I got to say. Thanks for driving to work with me, and I hope you have a great new year. Let's fucking go.